So we have a couple of viewer questions. We've never done this before, but it's the internet.
I'm in.
Okay. Lots of people asked this one, my producer said. Michael Knowles, do you miss working with Candace Owens?
Well, I still see Candace all the time because, I'm the godfather to Candace's daughter.
Actually?
Yeah. I'm the godfather to Candace's daughter. I'm very good friends with her husband. And, it's kind of weird for a married guy to hang out with. Yeah. We're, have many Mayflower cigars, over the time. And I don't see Candace at work, obviously, anymore. But I do see her at church. She actually goes to the earlier mass than I do because she converted. She came into the church like a year or something ago. And in fact, I was the godfather to her daughter before she came into the church. And then all those smells and bells just kept pulling her in. And there was one time I was invited to the baptism of their next kid. And I just couldn't make it. I was visiting my grandma or something. And people kept telling me, like, no, you should really come. I was like, no, look, I mean, I love the Farmer family, but I got to go see my granny, whatever, And they kept, I said, what's this about? I don't know. They have like a kid every 6 months. So like, they'll have another one soon. And, but then I found it was because she was being baptized and she wasn't telling anybody. So anyway, she came in and now at least I get to see her at mass. So
people love her. It is wild.
She has actual star quality. She has this thing. She could tell me something. She could tell me something not only that I don't agree with, she could tell me something about myself that, like, you tell me I have blonde hair, and I would just, the whole time, I'd just be like, go on, tell me everything.
It's wild. I mean, I was telling this off air, but I just want to say it. I was in Oslo, Norway last week, salmon fishing with my kids, and I'm walking back from dinner with one of my kids in downtown Oslo, and this guy goes, Tucker Carlson? Yes. You know Candace Owens? I was like, yes. He goes, tell her that I love her. And I was like, how famous do you have to be where people will come up to you on the street just because you know somebody else?
Where people will come up to another very famous guy.
No, it had nothing to do with me at all.
You say, oh, hey, hi, I'm Tucker, by the way.
It didn't. No, I was so impressed by it that it didn't hurt my feelings at all.
That is unbelievable.
But yes, the main thing that he liked about me was that I knew Candace Owens. I was like, wow, that's devotion. So I was impressed. I called her. I said, wow, man, you're really at another level.
Got to start trying that at restaurants. Can I get a free dessert or something?
I know Candace Owens.
Come on.
Not my birthday, but all these young people are becoming Catholic of all unfashionable things. Looks like that's probably the most unfashionable. But by the standards of 30 years ago, becoming a Catholic.
It's crazy.
It's insane.
Yeah. This is why I think, the vice president is probably the most famous convert in recent years. And people, his political enemies were always saying, oh, he's cynical. He's just changing his views with the times, whatever. I think, hold on, you're telling me a guy who had a tough upbringing, who graduates Yale Law School, wants to is in Silicon Valley, then goes back, he wants to launch a political career in Ohio. The way he thinks he's going to do that is by becoming Catholic? You think that's going to help you? No, that's like the craziest thing to do if you were thinking cynically or opportunistically.
Well, it's a radical move, I guess. And again, I'm not promoting it, I'm not doing it. But I just, as an observer, I'm like, wow, that's pretty wild. So I guess here's my question. It's a political question. If young people are converting to Catholicism, like, what else about their views is changing?
Everything.
Okay.
Everything.
So that's my sense.
Well, on the political level, and I think this also touches on part of the conversions, we're beginning to realize that history didn't start in 1965. History didn't start in 1865. History didn't start in 1776 or even 1620. We're part of something that's much bigger and much broader and much more beautiful, and even just in our political order, we used to call it Christendom. Now we call it the West. And there has been an attack on that going back many decades now. I think of Jesse Jackson marching down Stanford, hey, hey, ho, ho, Western Civ has got to go. And people are beginning to realize, it's not that I just want to preserve my town or my 90s liberalism or what. I want to preserve this great cultural patrimony that I've been given. And that cultural patrimony has to go deeper than just aesthetics. And it has to go deeper than just abstract ideology. Cult and culture come from the same root word. So what you worship is going to define your culture. And so what's the bottom? What's the foundation? What's the ballast for all of that? I think people, even beyond questions of conviction of the Holy Spirit and rational arguments and all that, they're just saying, well, this thing's pretty sturdy. It's been around a long time. Belloc keeps coming to mind. He had this line, he says, he said it more eloquently. He said, I'm required as a matter of faith to hold that the church is divinely instituted. But for those who doubt it, one proof of its divine institution is that no other group conducted with such knavish imbecility would have lasted a fortnight. Obviously true.
Yeah, the best thing I ever heard from a practicing Catholic in the last 5 years, there was no one around. It was a very close friend of mine, and he was going on about Catholicism. I was like, okay, but that Pope is I can't. I won't even tell you what I said, but it was hostile because that's how I felt. And he goes,
are you sure you're not Catholic?
No. Well, it was the greatest thing ever. He goes, yeah, I totally agree. But he's not the worst Pope we've had.
Yes.
It was completely non-defensive. This happens.
It's like, let me tell you about the 9th century.
I think that's right. If you want to win people over, don't be defensive.
Yes, totally.
Don't tell me that that what I'm seeing isn't real.
Yeah.
Be honest.
Of course.
One of the truest observations ever, it's hard to have a good time if you're stuck in bad boots. And that's why you need Tecovas. They make it easy for anybody, including people like us, hardly experts in boot fashion, to find the perfect boot. Here at TCN, we love Tecovas boots. Everybody's got them. You can find us wearing our favorite pair during the day or an evening out, not even line dancing, anywhere. Tecovas crafts quality Western boots for everybody. Generational ranchers, lifelong cowboys to first-time buyers. They handcraft their boots over 200 meticulous steps to create broken-in comfort the second you get them right out of the box. The difference is obvious when you put them on. It's unbelievable, actually. You never know that they were brand new. There's no compromise between quality and style. There's a reason Tecovas gets such high reviews from everybody. It's the total package. Get 10% off at tecovas.com/Tucker when you sign up for an email and text alert. That's 10% off at Tecovas, Tecovas.com/Tucker. Honor the West by leaving your own boot print. Tecovas.com/Tucker.
Of course. I mean, it is.
Okay, but I don't know that I've talked to too many Catholics about Catholicism. Maybe they all feel that way, but I thought that was just a wonderful response.
Totally. We have to remember that the Pope is fallible, except when he's infallible. And sometimes God gives us bad popes to make us really grateful for good popes. And the other point I'll mention on Francis, because, obviously I had some questions about the Francis pontificate.
Yeah.
I reverted during the Francis pontificate. This trend started during Francis.
Yes.
It might have been in reaction against many of the things that Pope Francis was said to stand for. I don't know exactly how it worked. That's above my pay grade. But you think of the progress of the church and our whole civilization, and we think of it as just like a straight line. But I think it's a little bit more kind of like this, and the papacy goes to Avignon for a little bit, and there's some king is arresting the Pope. And, it's kind of a little bit more circuitous, but it's always pointed in the same direction.
So it just reminds me of God using Pharaoh, blinding Pharaoh to the truth in order to save the Jews from slavery.
Yeah.
Which is what's described. And I always imagine that there's a direct line between the quality of the leadership and the quality of the people.
Of course. This is why I can't
But that's not always true. So as America becomes more prosperous, the people become weaker and sillier.
Yes.
I mean, that's how I grew up. I grew up in the, richest country in history. But there was a steady decline in the quality of thinking, certainly, and of behavior.
And of leadership.
Yeah.
I mean, is it H.G. Wells who said democracy is the theory that, was it? No, I don't know. Who was it? I forget who it was. Who said democracy is the theory that the common people know what they want and deserve to get it good and hard. This is why I can't get into, I have I love the populist movement. I was so into the rise of Trump. I remain into the rise of Trump. Yes. I think this has been the healthiest political awakening in my lifetime. I think I'm all about it. But I can't throw too many stones merely at the leadership class because, one, the civil authority is there for our own good. It's in that way appointed by God in a certain sense. And also, we kind of get the government that we deserve. And if you don't know anything about your country and you don't care about your civic life and you're just going to be greedy, you're either going to, on the left side of things, just indulge in weird social stuff that's purely selfish. And on the right side of things, you get engage in economic selfishness and no one cares about the common good and no one cares about the body politic. Then
that's kind of where we are right there.
Yes. And you're going to get crappy leadership a lot of the time. And sometimes you get a second chance.
So it's just like greed and lust. Those are your choices.
Yes, and this is classic political philosophy going all the way back, which is that greed, avarice, is the beginning of evils in the city, and it's natural, and you have to try.
Worship of money is the root of all evil.
Yes, that's right.
Thanks for watching our YouTube channel. We hope you'll subscribe to it. And by the way, you can hit the little bell on there and get notifications every time we produce a video. We hope you'll do that also.